We are all familiar with the Roman number system, and you obviously have seen these kind of symbols, etc., etc. But this developed much later. Historically, we discussed this in the earlier lectures. You know that in that lecture we told you that Roman system was almost 2000 years, you know, earlier, and just prior to Hindu system, it was developed around that time, 0 AD. And what essentially it did, for example, this was discussed in earlier lecture, that multiplication created such huge numbers. And what Roman system did essentially was made this large numbers which are appearing out of simple arithmetic calculations from primitive counting numbers, as discussed in earlier lectures. It made such lengthy representation of numbers compact. So let me explain this, what I mean. For example, Romans decided that they will group these numbers into fixed number of units. For example, if this was the fixed number of units, or in other words, if you say I'll take this many numbers in a group, which now in Hindu system we know is 5, or in Roman system this symbol was used. So if we see how many such groups exist, you will say this is one such group till here to here, then till here to here another group, then another group, then another group, and what you have is the left over now. So how many groups you have? The first one. Now this represents the group here, another similar group, another similar group, another similar group, and then this first these blocks here. And if we represent it by lines, then this for this, this for this, this for this, and this for this. So this representation is much more compact than this, and that is what you should tell your primary children to do. Say that this is how you have to group it now, and you take a new block. For instance, you say all this number of items will be represented by a new rectangle, and it will be blue in color. So this blue represent this, and this blocks. So another one will be the next blue, another one will be next blue, which is this one, another one which is the last one here will be this blue, and there are 4 left now, and they cannot be grouped. 4 means we cannot use this technically word because 4 was invented again. I want to remind you much later. So how you do it? So you will say that these leftovers will be added to what you have done, and this is much more compact form of representing the same number by using a new grouping, and you have grouped them in this order. And then you can say that this is the symbol used by Romans while grouping them, and here you used blue blocks, but Romans used this V sign here. And the laws of arithmetic in this compact form then become very simple. You'll say this plus this is nothing but all blues together and all leftovers. For example, the blues when I take together, so I'll take the blues first, so we have copied this here, and now I take the other side, these one, and join them like this, and what you have is these many squares left here, so they have to be added here. So in the compact form you have this and this, so you'll say this is how the new number is there, but suddenly you make them to somehow come to the conclusion that there is, in this process, a new group is formed, which is identical to the blue box. This and this taken together will be a new blue block. So you can compact it further, and that is what children should feel while doing it. So children should discover in such kind of exercise that they can replace these with another blue block here, and this will be therefore a new number. In Roman terms, you will simply say the operation that we did here was nothing but this plus this, and this yielded this many from the first, these many from the second, and straight lines from this and this one from this. And finally you'll say that, well, I see that these can be further compacted, and you can write the group as like this. So this is how children be taught to actually understand how simple primitive system, which was basically a lengthy description of larger numbers, shifted from the compact number system. But the problem with compacting, which they will soon realize, is that as we make it compact. For example, if you were to do this operation in, let's say, compact form, then they should do by the row multiplication which has been taught. So they should first express this in the row number. So the row number for this will be this pictorial representation, and that's what children should see. And for this, it will be this number here, and multiplication will be multiplying these two, and children should multiply this as per the scheme discussed earlier. But as we'll go to more and more compact numbers, there's no simple way of actually multiplying such things, and it'll become more and more complex. So that actually was the problem with Roman system. And the Roman system was that, for example, they had, for example, for 5 elements they had a compact form this. For 10, the compact form was this. For such, this was actually 2 5s, and similarly 5 10s was 1L, which we call in Hindu system 50, and 10 such 10s was 2Ls, or 1C, which is nothing but 100, or the term for century, and 5 such century C's, which is called D, or 500, and 2Ds, or 10 such centuries, was 1,000, or a millennium. In Roman terms, millennium, and 1,000 as in Hindu system. And Romans did not go above that. So this is how actually the Roman system developed, it was trying to make it more and more compact, the bigger and bigger numbers they were coming to, but the way of doing simple arithmetic was becoming more and more complex, and only very few people could do could work with higher numbers. And but Romans, all civilization needed to work with higher numbers. For example, counting soldiers in army or counting animals in army, all this involved higher numbers, and this was an issue which actually Romans did not know how to solve. And same idea actually, even Egyptians used. They had different symbols. For example, Egyptians had symbols for 1, they had this. For 10, they had symbol this. This was the symbol for 10. For 100, they had a symbol like this. So they also tried to make things compact. Chinese had other way. For example, they had symbol for 20, for 30. This was the symbol for 40. These were the symbols used by Chinese, and for early Greeks they were, for example, symbol for, like say, for 50 was this kind of a symbol, some kind of a something hanging here. And similarly later Greeks had different symbols, like what we know is alpha, beta, gamma, delta. All these were the symbols used by early Greeks for, and the primary purpose was making the larger numbers more and more compact. But as indicated, and this is what educators have to do in the classroom, they should slowly, from smaller number scenarios, they should try to take children to higher number scenario, where children will start feeling the problem with larger number working in simple way. And that is possibly for the first time they will internally start to feel need for a not only a compact system, but also something which is easily to work in simple arithmetic, like into, division, plus and minus, which was basically the biggest invention in the history which Hindu system did. So instead of doing this directly, the children have to be taken to a stage where they feel the need for this kind of a system, and then one should introduce Hindu system.